boop. That means raise your hand. And then, we can take some questions and we can discuss. It will be really, really nice. Well, this is our instrumentation. As you know, there's not a lot of traditional works or like older works written for this combination. Maybe some of you know Kalevi Aho's quartet, Magnus Lindberg, like the Finnish composers. They wrote a couple of pieces, but that's mostly about it. So we really wanted to make something of a heritage for this quartet setting instrumentation. So that's when we started to collaborate with the first young composers in Aarhus, other students as well, finding who could fit us as a composer. And actually the last 6 years we have more than 30 pieces premiered by different composers. Some of them wrote a piece for us twice, like people that we have worked with many times, and some just once. And this is like these pieces between 5 and 12 minutes, like these standard pieces that we collect together and make a concert, right? Quite a normal way. And yes, our strong focus has been the collaboration with the young composers. A lot of Nordic composers. Like we had this idea that we wanted to promote also the Nordic music outside of Denmark, Norway, Sweden. So it's mostly has been these countries that we have worked with, but also Faroese and Icelandic composers, and also Polish composers. You studied in Aarhus, yes. So you're also Nordic, Polish, yes. Yes, of course. Now we also want to broaden more and work with more people from the outside. So that's a little bit about us. The last couple of years, we have also been doing this. You probably know Spår Festival, maybe in Aarhus. We've done this Spår New Music, where we work with young composers between actually 12 to 19.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've been working with them, coaching them, like trying to make this from the ground up, like a new composer society in Denmark, like with a fresh view of things and stuff like that. So now I just want to say a little bit about myself, and then these guys will also present themselves individually. My name is Amna Nederman, and I'm the saxophone player of there's no pictures now, but I was looking.
You're there.
But I'm there, yes. Yes, and I'm from Norway, but live in Denmark, and I'm a saxophone teacher at the academy, the Royal Academy in Aarhus, where I teach classical saxophone and contemporary and chamber music. So it's a little bit of both, because we're of course all educated classical musicians first and foremost. And I really focus a lot of work on saxophone music as well when I don't play with Neil. It's about getting new pieces for saxophone quartet, new pieces for saxophone ensemble, duos, solos, stuff like that. And I have this Nordic saxophone collective that we go on tours where we play only music written for us for 10 saxophones. And it's quite cool, I have to say. You also have a quite strong saxophone tradition here in Poland, I think so. I think you know it all. Yes, and I play concerts and teach freelance concerts, and curate concert series together with Nyd as well. That's a little bit about me. Now maybe Marie wants to say who she is.
I'm Marie Sunderskov, and I play the flute. I also studied in Aarhus and in Sibelius Academy in Finland and in Tokyo. When I did my master, of course, it was a classical education and orchestral education, but every time I did a recital, I always sandwiched some new compositions or new music. With the classical program, I always had an interest in this. And I tried to put it in between the classical pieces to soften it a bit, because some of it was really weird. But I realized after the concert, people would always come to me and say, that piece, that was really something. So I thought, okay, maybe I should just go for it and just do what I find is interesting, because I can play Mozart concerto like every other flutist, but we all heard it hundreds of times, and what can I add to this? But when I play new music, I can, in a different way, add to the society we have now. I can tell the story or my perspective of life in a very different way. So I started working a lot with composers, a lot with also electronic composers in both Japan and in the US, and in Aarhus, of course. We have this really nice thing also, I think it's the same here, but the different academies, like the electronic department, classical and rhythmic department, gathered in the same house the year that Mikkel and I started studying. So we were very close to you guys, and also electronic composers Piotr, we know from there too. And it was very easy to experiment with things, and so I've done a lot of this. And also I found that working so much with new music and premiering pieces and working with composers and telling them, yeah, you know, this is what you can do with the flute, I found that I had something to say myself too, so I also started composing for flute. So I have composed both solo pieces and an ensemble piece for 25 flutes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a bit about me.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Maybe Jonas should
Yes.
be next.
Yeah, I'm the percussionist in our group, and I have also collaborated with a composer named Rafael Wojcicki. And hallelujah.
That was Rafael,
Yeah,
actually.
that was
Yeah.
his intention. And back in 2018, I think it was,
Sorry.
Oh,
It's okay.
That's
yes.
okay.
That's extraterrestrial life. Just
Our studio is haunted. So.
yes.
Oh yes. Oh great. I love it.
Tyle już więcej nie będzie resetu.
This is an nice sound.
very
We
nice.
can.
Yeah.
you can use it
Yeah.
background.
Yes.
Music.
If it just goes.
Już więcej nic nie będzie robił. On się
There
musiał
are different
podnieść.
solutions. One, when you're doing like this, then we don't see your lips.
Yeah.
Another one, pointing like this, you know, so we don't follow the movement of the lips. No, but in fact,
I'm just like, yes.
it's a kind of delay between.
The old man from the Muppet Show, where the professor sitting there and just laughing. Oh, look at her friend.
So much.
Okay,
No,
We are on the way.
great.
sorry.
Nice.
No problem.
Okay, Jonas.
I will continue my little journey
Story.
of
Yes.
my life. So I will
You
spare
were
you.
born in
Born in
Born in,
1945.
I'm
No.
already at 2018 because because in 2018 I premiered the piece in Warsaw Autumn called Gender Fuck by Wojcicki, and it's a piece combination of the acoustic instrument, the drum set, and in relation to the electronic like background sound. But yeah, so I had a collaboration with Wojcicki, and I also, in my other works, I'll play orchestra, different kind of classical orchestras and ensembles in Denmark, and I also teach young students and students who want to get further in their development, going to the academy and take this road. And I will. I have also found out in my own work that I really like the diversity by doing more things, not only playing, but I really like the diversity right now where I teach and also play in orchestra, and it kinds of affects each other. the way, the way I teach and the way I play. So I think that's what I do right now, and probably Mikkel wants to say.
Oh, well, me, yes. You
Yes,
go.
I'm Mikkel, and I'm the classical guitar player in NJYD. Studied in Denmark and in Germany for many years, and
Many years.
I had a big focus on solo repertoire and playing solo classical concerts. But after a few years, I got tired of that. So now I'm mainly focusing on playing chamber music. So I'm playing a lot with NJYD, and then I'm playing a lot in guitar duo, where we are also starting now to having projects with composers, because we also kind of got tired of playing the old repertoire. We arranged a lot of piano music ourselves, but then we started to work with composers in Denmark to do projects, because we found it nice to share some music that had a personality for us when we were playing concerts, not only in Denmark but also abroad at guitar festivals and music festivals. It was somehow much more fun to play some music that had a story for us, music that we had commissioned, and music that was written for us by composers we have worked with. And then I play also a lot with a guitar sextet based in Copenhagen. I live in Copenhagen, and when you play in a guitar sextet, you also have to work with composers, because there's not so much music written for that ensemble. So we are doing quite many big projects. This year we had a big piece played by composer James Black that we also collaborate with at a festival in Denmark, where we played at the main square in Copenhagen. 3 concerts on electric guitars, and that was so much fun to stand there and play some extremely loud music with preparations and electronic, and performing on the main square for normal people. And then we are doing some other projects next year with Nordic composers, having a lot of focus on female composers, also collaborating with them. So at the moment I'm mainly playing contemporary music and trying to do that as a main thing in my life. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good, Mikkel.
Thank you.
So that was a little bit about us and who we are. And now we will just go into like what I said in the beginning, that we started as this improvising group, and we will just talk a little bit about that actually, and also versus like something that we have, because we still do a lot of improv. We do concerts also only with improv, and how this has shaped us as an ensemble, and then that's why we have this improvisation versus click track, because of course also we play a lot with click track, and how is that working, together. So you guys will actually talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, I would like to say some things about improvisation, because as Anja mentioned in the beginning, we started out as an ensemble called Comma, which was a study group with composers. I think quite similar to this room. We sat a few hours each week, and we found out different approaches to techniques, different textures and style of playing. And we also found ourselves playing, like finding out new different kind of moods and maybe different characters in the stuff we were playing. So the composers were a part of our regular session each week. And I think actually, when we got more established as NJYD, we back in 2015, then we still kept the improvisation alive, and we still do it to this day. Where we, when we practice, sometimes we still do occasional improvisations together, because it keeps, I think it really keeps our playing very fresh and alive. Sometimes versus when we look at a score, we tend to focus a lot of what's written, of course, and we play that. But here we can change the perspective of our playing. So so using this improvisation really changes our perspective, and we can also as when we began this improvisation, we established some rules. Okay, so for example, we set out, okay, how long should the piece be? It should be, okay, we agreed on it should be 5 minutes long. Okay, so we started out, and we took, of course, time, and then the next rule we could establish was, okay, should there be any development, or should it just be a flat curve, a flat style of playing? So we experience different kinds of sessions, how to make an improvisation, and you can say also, should there be any cue during a piece where we want to listen, where we want to change the character of the piece? Like, for example, if I play 2 times on a bell, then we agreed on, I think we should change the style, or we should change the dynamic. So I don't think we do that so much anymore about these rules, because now it has more grown into us. We do not agree on, before we make an improvisation, how should we do it. It's more like, we feel it more now, because we have done it a lot of these improvisations together. And then you can say all these things combined with the exploration of techniques and different kind of textures in the improvisation, it has led us quite closer together as an ensemble and as a group. So yeah.
And also, when we do improvisation in the rehearsals, it's not like we have scheduled it. So, for example, if we should practice today, we'll say, okay, at 12 we have to do an improvisation. Quite often it's just intuitive that we start to improvise, and it can be on a silly melody, or it can be in a piece we are practicing, mainly because we think it's fun. And I think this is quite important for us to have fun when we play music, and also when we work and collaborate with new music and with composers. We are enjoying playing music together, and this improvisation is also helping a lot on that, because we also listen a lot to each other. So we are now used to, for example, if Jonas does something, I can immediately hear that, okay, he wants to go this direction. Or if Marie does something else, I could follow her. So this improvisation during the past, I would say 10 years, has really developed us as an ensemble. And we use it also when we are having rehearsals with the younger kids in the Spor New Music School. We use this as a tool to show that we can all just sit down and make music. Because for them, maybe some of them are just in a music school learning to play trumpet or guitar or piano. So how should they compose? It would take a lot of time if they should put down something in a score. So we learn them also to just open their ears and to play together and improvise. And then suddenly they do music themselves through improvisation. So they do not necessarily put things down in a score, but they have made a piece, and you can see during a few days or weeks that it's the same piece, more or less, but it's written in their mind through improvisation, which I find very fascinating, because sometimes they make music that is extremely good, I would say, because they only use their child playfulness. And this is extremely important for me also, to be playful when we play music and to dig into new sounds and explore. And most important, I think, during the improvisation, that we listen to each other and we are focusing on playing chamber music. Because when we use, for example, click track, it's another situation. Then quite often we are focusing on following this click track as if it was a conductor. And sometimes you forget about playing chamber music because you have the click track and you know what to follow. It's easy. You can just follow the click and it gives you signs where you are. So sometimes we forget that, okay, we should also listen to each other, because sometimes we have perhaps a texture or a character that are similar. So we found out quite soon when we played music with click tracks that we have also to put it away somehow and listen to it from abroad, so we know what are we playing. Are we together at some points? Should we use the same sound? Should I try to imitate the sound of this flute or the slap tongue of a saxophone when I'm doing a pizzicato? Because sometimes if you have the in-ear click track, you are focusing on that and not on playing chamber music.
And it's actually kind of, we wanted to show you a video where we were kind of experiencing this for the first time. We just got the piece, you know, we just want to learn it. And then actually during the rehearsals, we were like, oh, but we're actually doing all this
choreography, and we did something, but we didn't do it the same way. And it took us maybe a few hours or some days before we actually found out, oh, we are doing something similar. But we couldn't see from the score. I just played from the guitar score, and you played by the flute and saxophone and so on. So we had no idea that we were actually doing something similar. And we just followed the click track. And working with this composer, we had also, you know, encouraged him to use click track, because when we played some other pieces by him, it was extremely difficult to play the music as chamber music, because we had to use a lot of time knowing the score, giving cues and so on. So he did this click track for a new piece, but then we had to step out of it again.
Yes, exactly. And you probably know his name, Loïc Destremont. Maybe someone.
The one who lived in Denmark.
He lives in Denmark. He's half Danish, half French. So we will just listen to the couple of first minutes in this piece, and you can see, of course, that we have the in-air, and you can see that we have.
I'm blocking the way.
You what?
I'll stand over here.
Oh, you're blocking the way. That's what you meant. No, we can do full screen. I don't know why. Yes, so that's a little bit about this piece, and you can see like we're starting here to do more and more movements together, right? So it's and also imitating the different sounds that we have that have to sound more or less the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and also when we have some structures in the melody where we are doing something together, we use a lot of time practicing without the click track to be sure that we are playing the right rhythm together. Because it's important, and sometimes when you have the click track, it's just easy to follow the click track, and then you forget about listening to each other. So we found out quite soon that when we use the click track, we should also try not to use it sometimes. So even though you have it, you're also extremely concerned about playing together, because it's what it's all about still. Nevertheless, it's extremely useful when you play music like this, where you have electronics also who should fit, that should fit into the music, or if we use, if you play music with audio visuals and so on, where everything should fit together, then it's extremely useful with the click track, of course.
Yeah, so in a way you can say that I talked about improvisation and you talked a bit about the click track. It's quite a contrast in a way, because you mentioned being like a child, be curious when we improvise, and when we play with the click track, we sort of have established some rules, or it has to be precise in a way. So sometimes when we improvise, it's sort of a free room, a free space.
Free space, yeah.
But, and also the benefits of the improvisation. It's for us as musicians to be explore, to be more open-minded, and to be more, like a child's consciousness. It's much more different than an adult's. So it's getting back to that state in a sense, and
Becoming children. Like
becoming children.
And we use it also
Sometimes,
a lot
yeah.
nowadays in new collaborations with composers.
Yeah.
I think maybe also because the composers know us, and the main reason they would like to collaborate is also that they can see that we are enjoying playing, and we are in a group established and have played a lot together and have doing this improvisation for many years. So it's it works quite well when we play together, like a string quartet who has to use a lot of hours playing some standard repertoire on a high level. We have also used a lot of time digging into this improvisations and doing courses and all kind of stuff to become a good ensemble playing new music, I would say. And yeah, so we use it also in the collaborations now with composers, the improvisation parts, and I think you will also talk more about this later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, we wanted to show the piece you
Wojciechowski.
Yeah,
mentioned.
the next example we have, this was the Wojciechowski piece I premiered for my debut concert back in 2019, where as a group premiered a piece called Archangel. And also here, especially in the last part of the piece, you can see the movements which I make has to be very in a strict manner. So here the click track is very obvious. We need a clear pulse in order to be together as a group. And also during the piece we have different movements. For example, Mikkel will show me some signs which has a meaning, and also you
Yeah, we show different things. Yeah.
will it's sort of a battle against you versus me, ending up like an archangel in the piece.
Yeah. And you have all kind of different signs.
Different signs, and
Yeah.
it's also a mix of the strict rhythms in one hand, the movements with the one hand, and more round and fluent movement with the other hands. So that's yeah.
And you're playing here on the prepared instrument. Like everything is
Yes, it's prepared ribophone with the contact microphone underneath, so it triggers a specific set of sounds, electronic sounds. So we have this. This is also why the click track is very important. So we really have this sharp, precise sound coming out from the audio, as well as you can hear the acoustic sounds from the vibraphone. It has to be very, very much together. So that's why the click track is so important for those pieces as well.
Let's see a little bit of the end of this this piece. Okay? Let's see here.
Can we see it?
Yes. So that was of course, the end of this piece. You didn't see any of the actual playing, but you saw your movements.
Yeah.
He can play the percussion.
Yeah, he can also play. Yes. But yeah, you can see why it's so important that it has to be very tight.
Yes.
Very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
How did you technically did this sound with
Well, you know it all.
Yeah, all the techniques, the technical stuff. Also, we ended up doing a few sessions with Rafael, where he prepared all the mics underneath the vibraphone and connected to. I think he made a big board connecting all those wires, and then from there on it connected to a sound audio device. And I'm sorry, what? That's the answer.
Was it connected with your body, or it was like a?
No.
I think the electronic now was fixed electronic.
It
Yeah,
was fixed.
what you heard now was fixed, but when he's playing on it, then we can also hear like something from the beginning, maybe, just so you can hear when he's actually playing. Let's do that.
But there are no like body sensors.
No, not body
body
sensors.
sensors.
No.
Whatsoever.
Let's just say.
We could say yes because that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the body.
Kick drag, yeah? So Jonas had this really particular kick drag. That's why you were so synchronized, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
The problem with the score. The score.
We don't. Maybe you have the score, but we don't have it
score
here
right,
on
yeah.
the.
Sorry. But,
But it's quite like the score. like, of course, you had different sessions with Rafael, but our score is just, we're more accompanying Jonas here because he's the soloist. So we have just very normal score. Maybe Mikkel
I
has.
just check.
You can just
think,
check. Yeah. Let's just do. We can do like a little excerpt from where Jonas is actually playing on this thing.
Now he's just pretending to play. Can you even play, Jonas?
This was really shocking.
Yes, we also did it in Loic's piece. Yes.
So here I only basically play one note and it triggers some sounds occasionally in the electronic.
Yes, and yeah, this is.
Yeah.
But this is just your score, Mikkel, right?
No, it's
It's the full score.
partitur.
Great. Yeah.
So maybe to sum it all up, this piece, it's the balance here with the electronics and the acoustic is quite loud, as you can hear in the electronic. Because I think
Yeah, sometimes we are also just maybe mainly doing gestures,
yes,
which you
Yeah.
can fairly not hear.
No.
I think we have also two examples of the click track situations because
Because this
it's a big different, yeah?
Yeah, it's very different, and
Click
also
track
this is
is
the
an
whole
art
thing.
form.
Yeah, it's an art form in a way. It's we had so many different experiences with how composers make click track, and I would say I don't want to call it good or bad, but it's definitely, you know, we had different experiences. So we want to show you now two different. We're just gonna have it from Jonas's phone here. Two, I think, very different click tracks.
The thing is, once in a while when we use click track, it's also for pieces we have to play by heart and to be sure that we are together. But for this click track, you have to trust yourself and actually do it by heart, because if you have a letter A or B or something, or a new movement, it only says so on the exact beat when you have to change. So you have to trust yourself. And then in the other example, we have a more.
It tells us when.
It tells us like a bar before or something when something important comes.
Yeah.
So this is the other example with the preparation and the click.
Yes. So here we have. Yeah.
A.
It's great.
And so on.
Yeah. So
So
what?
for us, it's really nice to have this because then we know
love it.
we have to play something really important on the A. So we know for sure if you got lost during the piece or something, you know for sure when to enter again, which is really helpful sometimes if you get lost. Of
I
course
know.
we don't, but if we do at the rehearsal.
I would say also when the click track is made, often it's different drum sounds, and it's also really important that the main beats are the ones we hear, because sometimes we have to put the volume as far down as possible so that the click
Can't hear it out
Yeah.
in the audience.
is audible. So it's also that is also pretty important.
And
Let's show
the
the other
example,
one. Yes, which is more without showing.
From civilians.
Yes.
Like people.
So now it's just straight on.
So that was exactly
So
on
that
the beat.
was-
So you have to count yourself actually.
Yeah.
So the click track is only for to be sure that you were on the right place 1
Yes.
second ago.
And this piece we actually play completely by heart. So if you count wrong, and you come in the wrong, it's
It's too late.
it's too late.
It's too late.
Yes.
So for this example, it would have been nice to have the cue at least 4 beats before the important place or something.
Yes. Just a little something before. And I think this is also the great thing about collaborating more times with composers, to be able to have this discussion, and not just having the piece and then you play it and then you're done, but having this a bit more grounded relationship in a way. Is there any questions about this click track thing or improvisation thing? Maybe after. Like you
Yes.
first.
I have about improvisation because I am curious about why you're playing on the rehearsal improvisation. So while you are improvising, so how do you save like the main ideas, or your is it like a graphic, or you put some notes on paper, or is it in your mind
Like mostly
Mostly we are just we stop for some reason, and Mikkel starts playing a
something.
tune on the guitar,
Something.
and then
And,
you start singing, or it
I
happens.
play the saxophone. But
It happens very spontaneously.
Okay.
and it can also
Yeah.
be something in the piece we're practicing, and then we're just having this rhythm or something, and then we just start doing it, and then we just start improvising, and then we improvise for maybe 10 minutes or something, because we think it is fun, and it makes also the rehearsals a little bit more fun sometimes, especially if you are with some piece, maybe you feel a bit stuck, or you need just to refresh your mind, get some new ideas, then it's just so refreshing to do some improvising. And Mikkel thinks it's very much fun.
I love it.
Yes.
But of course, we have also used graphic scores.
Yes.
Yes.
When we have done it also with other people, we
Paintings.
use. It could be a line or a
Yeah.
picture, a painting.
Yeah, for example, next weekend we're actually doing the Spore New Music School again, and then we're doing it at
Art museum.
Art Museum, where we have to with the kids make these improvisations or compositions that are improvisations of the pieces of art that's there. So this is also quite interesting and
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Is it
Okay.
in practice kind of similar to like a classical version of a jam session?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it is a jam session,
Yeah, it's-
but
you could say
not
that.
very classical, I have to say. Like, oh,
Yeah, and often
Yeah.
quite atmosphere-minded,
Yeah. Yes.
or sometimes extremely strict and rhythmical, or heavy, or with a lot of contrasts, and
Yeah.
it changes a lot, I think.
Yeah.
But this actually, to wrap this whole subject up, like this comes back to like this thing that we want to have like a stronger collaboration with the composers, and we have gone from having this, as I said in the beginning, these 5 to 10 minutes pieces written for us. We're playing 4 pieces tomorrow that are about 10 minutes each, which is also super important to do, I think, to create. Oh yes, here are 2 of those pieces. Which is so important, and we've also known each other for quite some years now, you know. So we, yes, but we really want to make this our focus the next coming years, to make like longer pieces, several pieces from the same composer. So actually, Marie will just talk a little bit about. Oh wait,
Yes.
now I'm doing something.
Oh,
Oh, here we go. So we want to go about this strong collaborations with composers, and also thinking this a bit more cross-aesthetic. You know, doing, like we talked about, of course we're doing the click track and some video and the video electronics, and also performance, you know, performance part. And Marie will just talk about one of the guys we actually have worked with for
Yes.
quite many years, many times.
he was a
Yeah.
student at DM, the electronic department at the academy, Alex Mørk, and he is working very much in the field of sound art and sound installations, and he is building his own robots from trash. He collects, I mean, his studio is just shelves of objects of any kind. He has a lot of old speakers that he takes apart and uses in different ways. He 3D prints components and put them together, and he builds sometimes those robot creatures. The thing about collaborating with him is that these creatures kind of have their own life. So sometimes they work in a different way, and sometimes I mean, you can't use a click track because you never really know how those things will interact in the moment. And we can watch a trailer from the first project we did with him, so you have a feeling of what we are doing. It's very, it's
Right. Well,
it
I
was
can go.
it was a project with a lot of different components and very sensory.
Yes. Sorry, for some reason in this I can't make it full screen. But I can go. Oh, I can. Wait, I can. Full screen.
So the way this kind of, you can call it a show more than a concert actually, because it uses so many different components, lights and sounds in very different ways. And it actually has a score. The score is mostly the instructions. So for example, most of the sound in this trailer is from a part where it says play a Renaissance piece. Or it could be improvise something, and then there's some specifics like a range or it could be a certain pitch. We had several pages with just one pitch. We play and turn the page. And also we have these loudspeakers that we are kind of showering people with the sound waves. So in this kind of collaborations, we are using our instruments, but we are also using our musicianships with other objects. There was a metal stick. We're playing a metal sticks, the loudspeakers, and also soap bubble machines. You're actually blowing soap bubbles at some point.
Which was quite
and
difficult.
we're playing at a big
It's difficult.
organ pipe. So the way we approach these objects is always as a musician. So although we don't know the object as well as we know our instruments, it's like the same approach and the same way we improvise. What I think is really nice with this kind of collaboration is all the parts where, there's a score, but we have some freedom within the score to put in what we have to offer also. We also worked with singer and electronic composer Anna Katrin, and it was a little bit the same. Like, she had her idea, and we kind of instrumentalized some parts of what she was doing.
Yeah. And I think with both these collaborations, we're using, of course, their ideas, but improvising around it. So this is where our base as like an improvising ensemble really comes forward.
Yeah.
And also that the composers actually can use this because they know us. Makes it such a strong relationship, I think.
And also it's very freeing also often for composers that everything doesn't have to be notated very strictly in a score. Of course, sometimes you have idea that you really want in a certain way, and that's fine too. But it can be, sometimes I feel composers spend very much time trying to put this picture down in a score, and when we read it, we might misinterpret some things, or it doesn't come out the way you were thinking. And sometimes it actually works better if there's some possibilities or some freedom, and you will get a much better result because we are more relaxed about it also, and it's more interactive in that sense. So I think don't be afraid of giving a little room sometimes and experiment with these things.
Yeah.
But which is also difficult, because if you have to put something down on score for people to read it also in the future, you have to put it in a score and to text it somehow that could be integrated sooner or for another ensemble.
Because this is, of course, like the dilemma with this kind of music making, is that another group could probably not, like, it's not something someone can just come and play. We have to work with the composer, and it's, like Alex would not do this with someone else, exactly this, right? Because it's for us. So that's like one of the dilemmas or issues with this.
Different way of working.
Yeah, it's a different way. Yeah. So it's not just a piece. But I think for me, it's been really great. Like all the times we worked with Alex, we can really see and feel the development. Like you said, we get more comfortable. He knows us better. He knows, Anja can do this, Mikkel can do this, and he's just using that now more and more every time we work together. And we will also have a project again next year. And of course, when you do this project, it's always a concert in itself. We don't have any other things on the program. That's the whole, kind of like an installation, right?
Yeah, it's like an installation and a scenography at the same time. He's working so much with lights and all kinds of very weird stuff. Weird stuff.
No. Yeah. So that's a little bit about Alex and Nune. And now I want to go on to another collaboration we have that... now I'm setting it off again.
It's a beautiful...
It is very... You play so nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bravo.
Yes. This is a Danish composer that we worked with. He wrote one piece for us, and that's the one you see here, that we made a production of last year when we couldn't play concerts. Remember this time? So we made a video production of his piece. I don't know, someone know this guy, Jeppe Ernst? no. He lives in Copenhagen. He studied also in Copenhagen the whole time. Doesn't go so much abroad. The main thing about his pieces is this thing using the body as an instrument, actually. And he wrote this one piece for us, but we also played pieces that's not written for us and worked with him quite a lot the last years, both duos, trios, stuff like that. I actually want to start with just showing maybe 1 minute of how, and then I will show you a little bit more after. And then let's see if you have some questions. Yeah. This is more light. Here we go. Yes, okay. So I'll pause it here. You can turn. We will watch a little bit more of it. Whoa, whoa. So now, do you have any questions about? Do you like how is the score? Have you seen the score by Jeppe Ernst? No, no. How do you think the score is written for this?
My question is, do you have like exact rhythms?
Yes, yes. I actually have now. I will show you an example of this. Like, I will not show you an example of the score. I will show you the actual score. So actually, it's extremely specific. So this is. It says woman 1, man 1, woman 2, man 2. So we have 2 lines each. We have the vertical points and we have the horizontal points. And actually, it's like super, as you can see, super strictly written and yeah, but quite rhythmically easy enough. But of course, the difficult thing about Jeppe Ernst is that we have to work closely with him. You know, you have so many sessions because he wants this specific gesture exactly like this and that. So it's, I actually have no clue how many workshops we have with him, both individually and together, like a lot, because he, of course, in his mind, he has some idea of how the movement should be. Maybe it's very natural for him to do this movement, but for people that it's not in his mind, maybe it's not so natural to just do all of these things. So it's a lot of work. And of course, we are mainly classical musicians on our instrument, trained on saxophone and flute and toy guitar. For me, no, not no, I'm just joking. And huh?
That too.
Yes, please come in, guys. And so for us, of course, it's also a challenge to do these more performance pieces. And it's not just a performance piece, it's a very strictly notated performance piece. And again, of course, we have to use a click track here to be together. And also memorize it by heart. We have, most of the time, we have our eyes closed which is also written in the score. Each time you have to open your eyes, it's written on and off. Yeah, let's just get these guys on the place. Yes,
Yeah.
seats for all. Yes, and I just want to explain a little bit. He writes very specifically like what is the hand and what is this hand, which points is written very specifically in the footnote, or not footnote, but before, like the pre-word. So everything is super clear, and as you can see, this, like, we have the lines from A1 here. We have like a dotted line and then a 0, which means I have 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I have to be down on the 0, and then I start with another action, with another point here. Okay, so we always, it's kind of, the arrows are kind of this movement, like slowly going through time and space. Yes, so for us this it's just like that Jeppe Ernst knows us so well that he makes him write a piece like this, because he writes very differently for different people, and he wrote also pieces for Mikkel and me, did a duo for face, 2 faces and orchestra, actually.
Facial muscles.
Facial muscles. Yeah. So everything happens in the face. You have the crescendo. It's like a smile, you know, or down and up. So he writes everything super precisely with the crescendos, piano, forte. You know, forte is like this very strong accent, for example. So for us, it's very interesting. But of course, he knows us, and he knows that what we are comfortable with and what we are not comfortable with. Because he would also, for example, write these people for naked people. He also has a lot of naked. He has a piece for penis as well, and, you know, different kind of things. And he knows that for Neil, that's not for us. So this is also one of the great things, you know. So we just don't just commission a piece. We commission a piece for a composer that wants to write for us and knows us. So he knows, I know what will suit these guys, you know. Okay, so we will go a little bit back. We will watch the beginning of this again. So now you have an idea that actually everything is written very, very, very precisely. And also you can see the chamber music in it. Yeah, we can see, let's just see a little bit of the beginning, and I will show you the end. The piece is, you will not see the whole thing. It's quite long.
But you're playing without it?
We have a click track in the back. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's, because we play, like I said, when we are doing actions, we always have our eyes closed in the first moment. So we have to be together with our eyes closed. And it's quite difficult without the click track. And then when we are not in action, then we open our eyes. So we wrote everything very particular down.
We're also doing the duo. We are having a duo and you are having a duo.
Yeah.
And this would be also really difficult to do without click track because it has to fit together.
Yes,
of
exactly.
course we can use the sound. Sometimes we have tried to do it without click track because you can use this as a sign or a percussion to know where you are. But there are so many places where you have to count several bars and it would be difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just see a little bit. There is actually 5 different movements in this. Slå deg lyset. So we see the beginning a bit again. Now we'll skip to...
I have a question.
Yes, you have a question.
The directing of this film was
also very carefully prepared.
Yeah, we work. Of course, he has the director. He is also a musician, guitar player actually. But now he mostly makes movies. You know him probably, Klaus Kellet. He's also a little bit was doing a bachelor in composition as well. So of course he knows a lot about music, and he has the score. He knows everything that's happening. So it's quite carefully prepared how he wants to do it. And of course, Jeppe Ernst, the composer, is also helping with the instructions as well.
Yeah, we used a lot of time also thinking about how we should record this as a video, because the main thing about this piece is actually that it should be played in a small room with only 4 audience at the time. So they will sit next to us, so one person between 2 musicians.
Yeah. So the idea is actually, if I'm one of the players and there's one audience member here and another player here, and maybe you get this from both sides,
Yeah, so
you know,
it's-
to have like this effect, a little bit claustrophobic effect actually,
Yeah, but
almost, yeah.
But also very intense and very intimacy.
Yeah, it's very
Intimate.
intimate.
We
Yes.
did it in darkness with 4 candles.
Yeah, we just had lights on us, and then
when
you're in the
people
darkness.
came to the concert, they were blindfolded, so they didn't know where to go, and then they were just followed by a person to a chair, and then they could take off the blindfolding, and then we started, and then they were lead out again.
Yeah.
So we thought a lot about how we should
Yeah,
film
capture this, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
because something is really amazing from upside down, or from the and something is really nice to see where we are in a line. So we try to do all kind of stuff to see what worked. And of course, as an audience, you will always miss one spot. So we also did this, that sometimes you can just sense that one of us are doing something, but you can't see it, which is also kind of beautiful because you cannot capture everything.
Exactly. Yeah. I will show a little bit of one of the other movements as well. This is the second movement for fingers. And then you have the tremolo. So that's the second moment, and I want to show a little bit of the last moment as well. We have a little bit of a different setup. So here we're changing to the last moment. Yes. Yes, so that is our work with Jeppe Ernst and the body as an instrument. Yes, a really, really interesting experiment working with him, and we will have we have a commission that we will do in 2 years again with him, together with the art museum in Copenhagen, which then is going to be centered in different rooms, where we all will be in different rooms and then connecting in different duos, quartets, and the piece will actually be like around 1 hour long, by heart, of course, and also with the click track. So yeah, he's a very, very interesting young composer. Oh, you can see my... Yes. Really recommend to check out his stuff as well on the YouTube.
Yes.
And any questions about Jeppe Ernst? No.
Have you tried experimenting with this piece, having as audience people who are hearing impaired?
Actually, we had this question before. A lot of people said this is music for deaf people,
well,
in a way.
I don't think it is.
No, not necessarily, but some people
like, as a
have said
deaf person, I kind of feel like from the 5 physical senses, you're probably mostly limited to seeing or touching the sounds. So you could probably get like a different perspective, and you know, maybe either for you or for the composer, kind of like a contribution that's kind of difficult to see for a person who has good hearing.
No, I think it's a great point. It could be a good thing to do, actually.
His inspiration for these movements is actually to do only what is very essential for sound. So a sound is always set in motion. So he takes away the sound but use the motion. So that is the inspiration for all this.
Yeah, and actually the title of the work is like Prelude, Evening Songs is the title. So it's in his mind, it's all connected with melodies. You know, his writing also, especially the second movements, are a melody. It's different tones for different fingers.
But there was also at one rehearsal, there was a movement from the Nutcracker, or what was it, like the rhythm?
Yeah,
was,
it sounds like the Nutcracker, some of the things. Like he just, I think he just really sees, for him, he just really sees the connection in just the movements. Like even though he has a melody in mind. Yeah. And he used to play, like he used to write a little bit melodic things, but now he only makes these kind of...
Sometimes we have a little bit of singing also.
Yeah, we have played one piece where you have to actually sing like a hymn, yeah, like a song. It's not that he's very religious, but it's usually finds a lot of inspiration in these church songs and stuff like that. Like this, also this environment you can get in the church, actually. Yeah. Yes. So it's very interesting. More questions? No.
Any questions?
No. I just want to talk about our most recent collaboration with a composer called James Black, which also is a long time collaboration, actually. We'll just do like a little bit short about him. He lives in Denmark as well, but is from the UK. I think he was here in Poland quite many times. Had some pieces played, went to some courses. Very interesting, charismatic guy. And he wrote a piece for us back in 2016. And then we actually commissioned a piece by him, and we didn't know who he was, more or less. Just that he had just his name. So that's the first time we met him, actually, when we premiered his piece, I think. We didn't even do a rehearsal with him. Like, he just instructed. It was a bit more, like, he wrote the score, of course. It was a bit more clear. But we actually just met him for the premiere. So that was a different kind of collaboration. And this time, we talked about doing a collaboration again. And he also changed a lot as a composer. He's very, very cross-aesthetic now. Like, we're not going to use our instruments at all in this piece. And last week and the week before, we were actually in Sweden with him. So 2 weeks intense residency in Malmö in Sweden, in a little room, no, big room, Interarts Center in Malmö, where we just had the opportunity to try stuff out with him the whole day, every night, yes. And then he can come with an idea, and then we find out right away if it works or not. And then he can be like, oh, what can we do to change it? What can work for you? And then we can really make some really fast changes right away before he even writes the piece, you know. So he knows exactly what we can do and what we can't do. What is, can Mikkel play or sing fast? Can he only sing slow? You know, he finds out. Yeah.
We found out.
You can.
Yeah, and sometimes he took time to just compose a little bit or have some ideas set down, and then we worked on other stuff. For example, practice Pavel
and Monica.
And then a few hours later we tried out. Does it work now, or should we change something else? And so it was a really nice experience to have 2 full weeks to go through a lot of ideas and to record and do some videos and just to learn each other also, kind of. Yeah. So it's a really personal piece now for us.
Yeah,
it
really.
It will be.
But again, like, this piece, of course, can probably only be done by us.
Which makes it extremely exclusive.
Yes, exactly. And
it also breaks down the barrier between musicians and composer, because we are in the composition process, and James is also performing with us at the end of this the show.
So he would know, like, he's of course also a performer, and he really knows, then can feel when he's performing with us what works and what doesn't work in that sense. So as you can see, this is me.
As a sock puppet?
Yes. So we're going to use this in the live performance. This is just a trailer of what we did the last 2 weeks. And Marie is next to me. So for one of the live performance movements, we are actually doing sock puppets, and we had to make them ourselves, which is quite hard, I have to say. It's not easy. So we had to make a version of ourselves with this, and then it's very, as I said, cross-aesthetic again, like using a lot of this media. We're filming a lot. The whole idea around the piece is that we have these video interludes about us. The main character is actually Marie. She's like the star of the whole piece. Mikkel thinks that it's him, but it's Marie.
I know it's me.
Yes. No, so it's Marie, and then we're filming ourselves a little bit, like we're working in an office, and then we also, you can hear some of he's using, of course, a lot of Ableton stuff, like this, auto-tune and drum.
Machines, and
yes.
There was also it was really a great opportunity to be there, because there was a lot of great equipment to use.
Lots.
Green screen.
Yeah, we filmed a lot on green screen as well.
You could also use a VR if you wished to do so. But it was really.
Yeah, so you can see like a little bit of everything that the piece will contain. It's going to be like a 45-minute piece in the end that's going to be performed next year. So we will just end with showing you like the trailer of James Black and you, this collaboration, from Malmö. Okay, hit the lights, or turn off the lights, maybe.
So
croissant, come down. James will figure out what we do in this whole situation. Yeah. Yes. So that is going to be premiered next year. How do I go out?
And you're all invited.
Yes, you're all invited to
Where do we
Denmark.
Copenhagen?
We will premiere it in Denmark first, yes, and then hopefully we'll do like a tour of it during the next couple of years. And of course, some of the speaking is in Danish with subtitles, and then some is in English, and it's very like office humor.
Yeah, so it's
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
kind of fictive, but we are also playing our own
Yes.
person. So
Yeah.
when we speak together, we speak in Danish, but when we speak with James, we speak in English.
Yeah.
Of course.
So it's really across
And
everything, yes. And also challenging us in a new way, like being filmed and talking and stuff, like performing in a different way than we have done in that way before, at least. Yeah. So really, really great to work so closely, and really, I think makes us. I think that makes a lot of things better, but of course, again, the dilemma of can someone else do the piece? Probably not. So it's like great for us to have like this mix between doing a bit shorter pieces that can actually be played again by other people, and to have like these really big projects that probably only we can do. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, this was it. Yes. Yes, of course, we're open for questions if you have any questions about us or the pieces or...
We have also a second session tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a second session tomorrow.
Yes.
We will talk then a little bit about your pieces, actually. And a little bit about the pieces we're playing tomorrow as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can put questions now and you will get the answers to
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I will write everything down.
You can just text. You can text.
Send it by mail.
Colleagues, from my composers' colleagues, so maybe I will ask them tomorrow.
Yeah,
For the
sure.
last 30 minutes.
Yeah. And I think also tomorrow, if you are coming again, it's nice to just also do like a talk, discussing a little bit, because now you have also, of course, because we are from a different
You have
region
like
of Europe.
22 hours to think about it.
Yes. No, but I really love this discussion. Like, of course, we have very different backgrounds, and you are composers, most of you, and we are musicians. I think it can be very interesting to do like a more discussing talk thing tomorrow if you're up for it. Yes.
That was really great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank
I
you.
was following there.
Yeah, great.
Also doing some other things. To
Yeah.
be honest. cooking up another concert for today.
Oh.
Getting some extra missing information from the composers, because we were electroacoustic music marathon.
Yeah.
Always in the middle of festival with a deadline today.
Whoa. Whoa.
Okay.
I'm talking even to the composer when the piece will come during the concert, we are also ready to do it. Because with this medium you can do it on the end.
Yeah.
Later. In fact, the order is the chronological order.
Ah.
So when you are sensitive enough, you can send the piece around 10:30 this evening. That
Wow.
will be the end of the concert.
Wow.
So thanks a lot. Thank you
you.
very much.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
thank you.
the same time, 12
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yes.
In fact, this is that was also part of one of the classes, I think. So several people are just from the class. Tomorrow we have another class, so perhaps there will be also other students. Because
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay.
We try to
Nice.
catch
Great.
up the schedule to mix this
Yeah.
together, because
Great.
that's the best. We are getting more students.
Great.
Great to hear.
Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you also.
Thank you. And thank you. Clap again. No. No, just joking.